Okay, so what we're going to look at to start Unit 5 is writing linear equations in slope-intercept form. And today we're going to focus on how we're going to do this given the slope and the y-intercept. So let's recap what we already know about slope-intercept form. Hopefully you remember that slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So it's called slope-intercept form for a reason. We know the slope and we know the y-intercept. So we have to know those two things in order to go into slope-intercept form. Now, let's take a look at this first example here. So we're given two things. We're given the m and we're given the b. And this is simply a matter of taking those two values and substituting them in to the appropriate place. So I'm literally just going to drag that 3/4 into the m's position, and I'm going to drag that -9 into the b's position. And I'm done. That's it. Y equals 3/4 x minus 9. So again, all we're doing is we're inserting our m and our b. Let's take a look at a few more. So with these three, same deal here. I'm just being asked to put those into slope-intercept form. So let's write that up above again. Y equals mx plus b. Okay? Now, realize that, sometimes we're going to be given the letters m and b like in number 1, but in number 2 I wrote it just a little differently. I actually wrote the word slope and y-intercept. Number 3 I used m again, but notice what I did on number 3 here. I gave you a point instead of a y-intercept equals or b equals. One thing that we have to draw back on when we learned x and y-intercepts is anytime you have a y-intercept, the x value is 0. So take a look at this x value. Since that x value is 0, that is telling me the -7 is the y-intercept. If that x had been any other number, then that would mean that the -7 is not the y-intercept. But since the x is 0, I know the -7 is the y-intercept. So now all I have to do is I just take my m and my b and I put them in the appropriate place. Remember, the m always comes right in front of the x. The b comes right after the x. That's it for number 1. Number 2, same deal. The m, or the slope, comes in front of the x. The y-intercept goes right behind the x. Number 3, m in front of x. The y-intercept, -7, goes right after the x. And that's it. So these should be pretty quick when we're being given those two pieces of information. Now let's look at some graphs. So we're going to handle graphs a little differently. We're still looking for the same things, but we're going to have to approach it a little bit differently. So the first thing excuse me, that I would recommend doing is go ahead and highlight the y-intercept. So I'm going to go to my y-axis and I'm going to put a circle around that. So there's my y-intercept. Okay? So I know what that is. I'm going to come off to the side and I'm going to write that. That's my b value. So my b value is equal to 3 because that's 3 units up. 1, 2, 3. Okay? So now I'm good to go with my y-intercept. Oops, sorry about that. Okay, well now I need the m. I need the m. So the question is, what in the world is the m? Well, if you think back when you learned slope in the previous unit, you need to know 2 points to find the slope. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this graph and I'm going to look for 2 clean points on my graph. Now, I've already noticed that the y-intercept is clean, so I'm going to circle that again. And I need to find another one. And I have a lot of options here. I think this guy looks pretty clean. I think this looks pretty clean. I have all kinds of options. It doesn't matter which ones I pick as long as I pick 2 of them. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use that y-intercept and I'm going to use this guy right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to count. I'm going to do rise over run. Again, think back to the previous unit. I'm going to have to go up 2 units, 1, 2, and then over 1 unit. So my rise was 2, my run was 1. So my slope is 2. Now I know my m, I know my b, therefore my slope-intercept form is y equals 2x plus 3. So again, I need the y-intercept, and then I need 2 clean points to help me find the slope. Let's try another graph. I'm going to start in the same spot. I'm going to look for the y-intercept, and there it is. So I'm going to write that off to the side. My b is equal to -1. Okay, now I need to find another clean point to find my slope. So I'm going to use my y-intercept, which I just said. I'm going to use that guy. And then I'm going to use this one right here. Let me circle that. I'm going to use this point. That's clean. That's clean. That's clean. I can use any of those. I'm just going to go ahead and use the first one that I circled. So just like I did on the last problem, I'm going to do my rise over run. So I have to go down 1, 2, and then over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my slope, I went down 2, which is -2, and then I went over 5. Therefore, my equation is going to be y equals -2/5 x minus 1. Keep in mind that a negative sloped line will be going down to the right, a positive sloped line will be going up to the right. So I see that I put a negative here, and that makes sense because my line is going down to the right. One way to think about it, and we had talked about this in the previous unit, is if you write your name on the line, is your name going up or down? If I write my name here, it's going down. So that tells me my slope has to be negative. Whereas if I look at this last one, if I wrote my name on here, my name is going up. Therefore, my slope is positive, which is exactly what we found. Okay, so a quick recap. Slope-intercept form, we need to know 2 things. We need to know the slope. We need to know the y-intercept. As long as we know those 2 things, we can go right into slope-intercept form. Okay, I hope that helped. So now you're going to try some practice problems on your own.